Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody? We are live DLMing actively right now. Get some things together here. Work with Mike. What's up, man? Good morning. BBJ, good morning. Good morning. McLovin, Scott, what's up? The Bell Mornington guy. I'm in a downtrending, or we're in a downtrending market. Are you doing Sol USDC pulls for fees or staying out of DLMM? Well, I missed the dip, and so I'm not doing any Sol USDC DLMing right now, but on the 15-minute chart, it does look like we should be seeing a reversal soon. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean like soon, like in the next 15 minutes, but I do expect Sol to reverse back up at some point unless we see some major market manipulation again, similar to this. But yeah, we're DLMing right now. You can see we have Duo right here and a one-sided Sol pull, which we cooked on yesterday and overnight. We did 100% ROI. I'd only put in like $1,900 because it's a low market cap. I added a little bit more this time, but you can see I have actually two pools open. I have one that's been open a while. That's a one-sided bid ask on ARK, and this is on the 100 bin step. And then I created a two-sided spot and then added a one-sided bid ask as well. That's a little more aggressive than my other bid ask to ARK. And so both of them are earning around 2.5% on the daily. I do expect ARK to do fairly well here. We do have some downside to it just in case. But you can see here that there's a pretty big cliff from where it is now. I mean, there's multiple supports, kind of small supports here that it could hit. I don't expect it to come all the way back down to here unless, of course, Solana dips way down, which is possible. I do think we see a little bit more of an uptick in the short term, but I'm not sure what it's going to do over the next few days. So Juice for No Fears Core, good morning. Good morning. Is due to something to do with the language learning app? Yeah, it is. It was shut down. Hey, dude, I've been binging your content this week. Happy to catch you live. Hey, thanks, man. Glad you're here. Dre, good morning. Good morning on both YouTube and on X. Yeah, you can see here we actually got in to Duo somewhere up here. I can't remember exactly where it was at, around 10 million market cap, and set up a one-sided sold bid ask yesterday. It might even have been somewhere over here. Yeah, it was actually over here, I think. Wrote it up and then back down, and then we ended up selling here. I could have sold it a little bit higher, but honestly, I had already gotten 100% ROI and I didn't want to get greedy. And then we've been watching a little bit as it came back down here, somewhere around the 9.5 to 9.8 range. We did another one-sided sold bid ask. The reason that we're on Duo is just because it's doing really, really good volume. It's doing 150K on the 5-minute. Jailstool just recently picked up volume. It was actually fairly low for a while, like 50K, but it's up to 250K right now. So we might be looking at maybe getting into that. And then ARK's been doing pretty well. It's sitting down fairly low right now. You can see we bought some more ARK here whenever we set up that pool I just showed y'all. And then GFM isn't doing great as far as like DLMing it or anything. The volume's a little bit lower, but we do like GFM. We've been staking it now for about a day and a half. And you can see we put in around a little over 7K in it, USD, and we've earned 0.05 SOL. So that's pretty good. Let me see here. 0.051577 times, what's SOL at right now? 192-ish. So we've made $10, and I honestly forget how much I put in, but that's in a day and a half. Yeah, so we're looking at around 37% APY right now on the year, which isn't terrible. It's like not bad, but I do expect GFM to go up over time. So in that regard, we'll gain. And then also I expect GoFundMe meme to be used more. If you just look at the revenue that Pump Fund has been using, I think like if GoFundMe can even capture like 10 to 20% of it, which I think is very, very possible, then the amount of fees that this will generate is going to be ridiculous. So we'll see if that happens, but that's what I'm hoping for. Let's see here. Your doctor, what's up, man? I traded Duo for 10% this morning. Hey, that's amazing. Haitian Buffet, good morning. Hash Eclipse, is the yield better on DeFi Tuna for Sol USDC pools? I've just been using Meteora more often because it helps get more MET points. Yeah, I mean, DeFi Tuna uses leverage. I don't have a pool open right now because with Sol dipping, I ended up having to close it out, so I didn't take too much impermanent loss. The risk is a little higher on DeFi Tuna as well, because you're using leverage, right? I wouldn't use more than 3x leverage. The more I do this, I don't use 4 or 5x, because if you end up being wrong on your directional bias, 4 or 5x leverage is really, really going to hurt you. Whereas like 2x doesn't hurt you very much at all, and 3x hurts you a little bit, but it just kind of depends on what you're looking at on the yield. But like when I set one up, I would do it like this. And then depending on what you think is going to happen, like if you think it's going to go long, you could just leave it at the 50% here. But you could also move it all the way to where you're borrowing 100% SOL. And this is what's called a delta neutral position, right? So if you think about it, when you're in a 50-50, you're in a SOL semi-long, right? Because whenever SOL goes up in value, you're earning money, where if it goes down in value, you're losing money. So essentially at a 50-50, you're already SOL long, right? You're betting that SOL will go up. You want to make money as it goes up. But if you set it to borrow 100% here of the Solana, now you're in a delta neutral position. And this just basically means that you're betting against volatility and slightly shorting as well. And so basically what that means is that this is more so if you think that SOL is going to stay around the price that it's at, but it also helps reduce how much you would lose if the price of SOL goes down. It's kind of like you're shorting SOL here. Tarab the Bold, good morning. Hello, everybody. We're already up to 200 people watching. I've been live for like 6 minutes. So glad y'all are here. Thanks so much for being here. GM, what is GFM? GFM is called Go Fund Meme, and basically it's Pump Fund, but it's connected to Meteora. And if you stake their token, instead where Pump Fund extracts all of their money, they just literally are transferring the SOL into USDC, just transferring that out through an exchange. They're taking out, hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. Instead, GoFundMe gives back. And so based on, I forget what the split is, but they do take some revenue, obviously. But then a bunch of the revenue gets put back in here. And you can see every hour it resets. And so for every hour you have staked, you'll see that these pending fees go up. This isn't my fees. This is the total fees. And then it's split out between all the stakers. And so after a day and a half, I've earned 0.05 SOL. So that's what GFM is, or GoFundMe. Hey, Token Guy, biggest takeaway I'm getting from your streams is how you manage your emotions and stick to your system. Good lesson there. Hey, thanks, man. I agree. It's hard to do, but and I don't do it perfectly. But Poppy, good morning. Can we create a delta neutral strategy on DeFi Tuna? Super raw spot? Yeah, I was actually just showing that. You do it just like this. It doesn't matter what your collateral is, because it's gonna swap this to what it should be anyway. So like whether I put 25 SOL into this or I put you know, whatever, $5,000 and 5 Sol or whatever, like it won't matter because it's going to swap it to what it needs to be anyway. What matters is what your borrow ratio is here and then where your position is as well. And so like if you're doing a delta neutral position, basically you just want to be 50-50. And so you'd be like, you know, 3.3 and 3.3 roughly, you know, something along these lines right here is where you'd want to be. And obviously not necessarily 3. You could be 6, 7, 10, whatever. I'm just saying it needs to be equal on either side. And this creates a delta neutral position. Am I still holding Project X? I am not right now. I still think they're doing cool stuff. I like the Doge team, but I'm not holding any right now. Let's see. You're in the duo bid ask pool for the upside. I am in a one-sided Sol bid ask, which is coming back up now. So I'm probably at the bottom, or I should say the top of the range. You can see I'm earning roughly 33%. So as it dips down further, I earn more. And then as it comes up, this is what I call like a safe play. I've already earned, you know, a little over $40. I haven't been in it very long. Actually, we can see exactly how long I've been in it. There you go. So I'm up just a little bit on it, but I've only been in it for 45 minutes. And so as it kind of moves around here, I'll stay within range. I'm basically, by me doing this one-sided Sol bid ask, I got in when it was up here and I saw it dipping. I think it was at this point right here at this one. And it looked like it was going to come down to one of these two ranges here. And so that's why I set up the pool the way that it did. And so it might be coming up and kind of ranging here, but this is just kind of a safe way for me to do this. If it moves down further, I'll just earn more fees. If it pushes back up out of here, then I'll have all my Sol that I started with plus some extra fees. So this is just kind of a low risk, safer play for me, just to kind of collect fees along the way. Finally joined the Discord last night. Thought it was closed. Oh no, it's wide open. We don't charge anything for the content that we do. Everything on Twitter, on YouTube, or I should say on X, on YouTube, everything in our Discord, all that's free. We do have some NFTs to get involved in some other ways. I do some sessions once a week, which I'll be doing one tomorrow, and owning the NFT allows you to get into a private session on a schedule basis. I can only have so many people at a time, but what's your thoughts on M3? I want to support the cause, but I don't see anything from the team. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little disappointed in M3, honestly. Like I absolutely love the idea of it. I love the tech behind it. But I just don't know if it's set up well for long-term success. Yeah, I just don't know. Like, let's look at the token. First of all, the token itself is not very good to DLMM. It has terrible volume. Is this the right token? Let me see. Yeah, it looks like the right token. F2K. Yeah, this is it. Let's go to the 5-minute chart. I mean, it's come down, but the rest of the market's come down. I mean, it's actually not come down nearly as much as a lot of other things, and it's staying fairly stable right now. There's not a ton of volume in it. I mean, literally 5-minute volume is $400, right? Like the 1 hour is 37K, right? The 5-minute on Duo is 117K, and the 1 hour is 1.6 million. Even if you look at a coin like ARK, right? Like there's a lot more. Even GFM, right, which doesn't have a ton of volume, the 5 minutes 16.7K. So yeah, there's just not a lot of volume behind it. I mean, again, I like the tech and such. I think that the idea of it's really, really nice. I just think that it's not like not something that's going to be super lucrative long term. I think that it needs something else. It's kind of a, hey, here's my token, you can earn fees off of it, trust me, bro, it's good type thing. But once people see that the fees are not as high as what people expect, then they end up getting out of it. And so I think like there's not a ton of sustainability to it. There's just a lot of things in crypto, back from NFTs all the way to tokens now, where it's tons of speculation. And if there's not any like actual business model or revenue stream behind it, which like M3 itself does, but it's reliant on the tokens that use it. And because anybody can do it, then, you know, the tokens that are actually launching, like there's not really any of them doing a whole lot, you know, like if you look at, this is going to be inflated. Yeah, I don't know what I mean, like Trump. The rewards are like nothing, right? Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I just think it needs some work. Is it possible to set up a DeFi Tuna without leverage, just your own capital? You can, but I'm not sure like what the benefit would be. There's no borrowing, there's no nothing. You might as well just do it on Orca or on Meteora. Carrick player, yo, man. You're also in the duo pool, single-sided soul, nice. So if we create a delta neutral position, we should be able to leverage as much as the platform allows, correct? You can leverage up to 5x if that's what you want to do, yeah. Can you get notifications on Meteor when PA moves out of range? There's not anything that I know of like that. It would have to be some sort of third-party thing. Somebody may have created it. Flew, not directly related, but saw that you were talking to Legacies and confirmed that his disappearance is legit. It seems that way. I mean, you can never be 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident that it is, yes. Zonrox Bleach, do you usually do 100 bin? It just depends. But yeah, it just depends, honestly. Poppy, you think Sol's going to hit 151, huh? That'd be wild. When was the last time you were rugged while LPing? I've been much safer, much safer. And so, I don't know. I would say maybe, I don't know. It's been a minute, maybe like a month or so, maybe a little longer. Carrick player, hey token guy, would like to know your thoughts on Jailstool. With all the ruggers and scam projects out there, we have Dave, who's really involved with the token, and he's always posting on Twitter about it, engaging the community. Do you think it's a long-term prospect? It's hard to know, man. I think that it's shown some stability. It's been around now for a little while, and it's still doing fairly well. Like you said, Dave Portnoy has been talking about it a lot. So I don't know. I probably would not hold it long-term. I'm not holding any memes long-term. The other one that I'm holding like semi-long-term is ARK, which is taking a little bit of a dip right now. But that's the only one that I'm holding like semi-long-term. Everything else, I'm pretty much anything else. Like if I was getting into Jailstool, and also I staked some GFM. So that's the other one I staked, which they have a 7-day staking lock and then a 7-day unlock as well. But yeah, I'm in that because I think this is going to do fairly well long-term. I think ARK's going to do well long-term. So those are the two, but that could change at any time, just like anything else. Two that I was high on and talking about was like Buzz and Grift. I still like both of the teams. I still think they're doing great things. I'm just not going to hold a coin that's not doing well. Look at Buzz, right? I mean, Buzz is at 28 million. It hasn't really shown any fight back at all. And so even though I like it, ultimately, if the chart's not showing it doing well, whereas you can see Grift here has had a lot better fight back. Buzz and Grift at one point were around the same price, and you can see that Buzz is at 28 mil and Grift's at 40 mil. You can also see on Blue Chip Index, there's a lot of people, 9.3%. This number is actually crazy high. are holding this. So I think Grift has a little more upside for sure than Buzz, but right now staying away from both of those and just focusing on ARK. Got some GFM, which is a recent hold, and then I'm looking at popular stuff like Duo, Jailstool. If anything else pops up that I like or other people talk about, then I'll get in and out of those as well. Basically, just looking to make some money and then get out. There's no need for me to hold or get greedy on those. So that's what we're doing right now. Let's see. Is there DLMM on ETH mainnet? I suppose since ETH gas so high, there might be more fees generated. What are your thoughts? Crypto Sapien, I don't mess with ETH at all. I think it's super inefficient, and it's definitely not the future of crypto. I'm a big time Solana maxi, so I love Solana. I've been on Solana for 3 years. Basically, I did tons of research on all the different chains that were out. I used a bunch of them, BNB, Polygon, AVAX, and then Solana, and was like, Solana easily is better than all these other ones as far as speed, transactions, cost, scalability. And so I went all in on Solana back then. Lots of new chains pop up and people move over to them. I've never done that. I've only stuck to Solana, and it's done really well for me. So Poppy said, we'll see how the FTX payouts affect the price. We are one bearish tweet from a dump. Yeah, potentially. Let's say you're in a... Why do you have U003C 5 mil token? Is that supposed to be 35 mil token? And you have set up a bid-ask Sol. You see token dropping down. How do you approach it? Do you leave it until it gets out of range? I have a feel that I'm having in general too high in permanent loss. So either I'm exiting too late or selling too early. I don't know if that's supposed to be 3.5 mil or 35 mil. It makes a huge difference. If it's a 3.5 mil token, I wouldn't be setting up a Sol one-sided bid ask. I only do that on tokens that are like 10 mil or higher or around that, like Duo. And usually I'm watching pretty closely on this. Like when you set up a one-sided Sol bid ask, you want it to go down. And then basically you just wait. Like if, let's say I wanted to get out of it, I would have gotten out of it here, right? Like once it dips down, I've collected a bunch of fees. It comes back up. Those fees are now worth more. And I would be in profit here. But I'm holding on to this longer. And so this could come down further. That would be fine with me as long as it gets some sort of pump back up, in which I would get back into profit. And that's when you need to get out of it. So I just approach it like I have a decent range. You can see here, like this can go pretty dang far, right? Like this go down to like 4 or 5 mil on Sol Duo. And so again, like that's fine as long as it doesn't just like immediately dump. Like if it just were to go boom, like all the way down, then I would lose a decent amount. But even if it just trickles down, like I'm either going to be in a small loss or even maybe in profit, just depending on when I get out. So that's kind of how you have to play it. Just as an example, with ARK being down and looking at the chart, how would you attack that if it was new to you? I mean, you can see I bought some here, right? So it's probably going to dip a little lower here. And so the way that I would play it out is I would just wait for it to dip a little bit more until it looks like it finds a support and starts to come back up. I'd buy it. I'd set up a Sol one-sided bid ask to ride it on the way up. Or if you think it's going to range there a while, you can set up a spot strategy, two-sided spot strategy. Also opened up a one-sided Sol bid ask for Duo with 0.5 Sol. It's not earning good though. Isn't the spot better now? You're saying a one-sided spot, Mr. Nick? It would be better to earn more fees, but it's also more risky. So like if, for instance, Duo just sticks around here and comes back up, then yes, spot would have been better than a Sol bid ask. But Sol bid ask, it just, the idea is that you're not worried as much about the earnings, right? Like you're taking you're reducing your risk, how much you would lose, to also reduce how much fees you're earning. Just in the market right now, I'm okay doing that, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Again, like I know 3,800 is a lot for a lot of people. This is a very small sizing for me. And I just set up a Sol one-sided bid ask and I'm fine like earning 30% or more on this. If it moves down further, I'll be earning even more. And you can see Ultra LP here will show you if I'm in profit or not, which right now I'm just down $15, right? Or $12, right? Like I'm not really down a ton. And so all it takes is for it to come back up a little bit and we're good. I think it's going to range around this for a little while. If you want to keep farming a Sol USDC pool forever, 5 to 9 months, I like how you said forever and then you put 5 to 9 months instead of just saying 5 to 9 months. What ranges should I put? And which of the three methods, spot, curve, or bid ask? I want to DLM and forget about it. If you're not worried about earning like the highest amount of fees, you could do this on either DeFi Tuna or Meteora. And if you're just wanting to stay in range the whole time, it's pretty simple. All you would need to do is you would need to look at the price of Solana over the last 5 to 9 months. And then you would say, okay, if I don't ever want to touch this and I just want to leave it, then you would just need to look at it. Here, let me go to the 1 hour chart here. This is going back to September. You can see it was as low as 125 and as high as 290. And we're kind of in the middle of that now. And so you would just set up a range between those two. You won't earn as much in fees because your range is crazy wide. But you could do this. Another way you could do it is you could use something like HawkFi, which is will automatically compound your fees. And it will automatically rebalance your pool if it goes out of range. And so then you could set up a tighter range. You wouldn't go super tight, but maybe you'd go between like 174 and like 245, something like that. Probably, yeah, something like that. It uses HawkFi uses Meteora. So you still have a decently wide range for it to stay within. But then if it does move out of range, it'll rebalance it for you. And then that way, even if it does push out of one of the two ranges I just mentioned, like the 120 to like 290-ish range, it'll rebalance for you. And then you can just stay in it long term. They do take an 8% fee, though, on top of Meteora's fee. So just know that. But that's one way you can do it. I think I'm going to end up setting up a Sol USDC pool. I don't know if I'll do it on DeFi Tuna or on Meteora. It's kind of more of like a DCA in strategy, so that if his Sol does dip down a lot, I'm just going to be buying more Sol. It's not necessarily to earn a ton of fees, so I probably will do it on Meteora. And so let me see here. I also have some JLP as well. What about Sui? I don't mess with Sui. Like I said, I only mess with Solana. For tokens under 5 mil, do you then suggest just put spot two side? I don't DLMM tokens under 5 mil. It's just too risky. I'll do some trading. Like if I think there's a token that's really hot, could do well, I'll buy a token spot for like 2 mil. And then if it goes up to like 2.5 or 3, I just sell for a profit just to make like a quick flip. So I do like trade a little bit with a very small sizing. But I don't DLMM them. There's no point to me to DLMM them. It's way too risky to get in and out of something like that. We're going to set up a big Sol USDC pool. When I'm unsure what Sol's going to do, or I'm just not going to be active, which right now I am, I'll set up like a Sol USDC pool just to be able to, if it goes down, I collect more Sol and fees. If it goes up, I make some money. And if it looks like it's going to go way up, then I end up closing out of the pool so that way my Sol can gain value as it goes up. But essentially, this is what I do. I like the 20 bin. It gives me a wide enough range. Down to 177, up to 203. I think that's pretty good. And then I'll adjust it like as it moves. If I need to rebalance it, I will. But we're keeping some of our lending in JLP and in Sol here on DeFi Tuna. We're continuing to do stuff like Duolingo here, trying to make some money off of that. Looking at maybe getting into something like Jailstool. I'm not right now. Honestly, I'm just going to get out of it. And then we're watching ARK as well. ARK might dip a little bit more. I might, let's see. I think I'm going to withdraw this pool. I bought a little bit ARK. It's just a little bit below where I entered at. But I don't want it to eat up all this SOL and buy more if it goes down, which I think it will end up going down. This one I'm going to leave because it has room to come down here. And then I think I'm just going to add might do like half like this. Again, I just don't want to be overextended here. And then the other half I'm actually going to sell into JLP. Which again, JLP is great. Like it's kind of like, you know, similar Sol USDC in that you're earning fees and such like that, but it's betting against like a high volatility. It kind of helps. So like if instead of being in Sol, if I'm in JLP, then then when Sol goes down, it goes down not as much, right? Because JLP is backed by Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and it's also backed by a lot of USDC and USDT. Let's see, a bunch of questions. Do you use HawkFi much as part of your overall strategy? I don't right now. HawkFi is really good for a lot of people, especially if you're going to be passive over long term. That's just not me. I'm fairly active, and so the 8% fee on it doesn't make as much sense. I still love HawkFi. I think it's a great product. I think a lot of people should use it. I'm going to be, you know, if I like go out of town or do something like that, then I'll set up HawkFi usually. It's just not something I actively use, but it is a great tool. I'm more comfortable in meme plays with 1.5 million 5-minute volume. Yeah, I mean, if they have a ton of volume, then you earn a ton of fees, right? It makes it less risky. How much fees does DeFi Tuna charge for DLMM? Well, it's not DLMM. DLMM is a term that people use a lot. DLM is specifically to Meteora, dynamic liquidity market making. DeFi Tuna has not integrated in Meteora yet. They use Orca pools, and so we would just call that LPing, liquidity providing. But the fees for liquidity providing, they just charge a flat fee when you create it. So the longer you hold your pool open and earn fees, the better. The yield can be really high if done correctly. And but yeah, it uses Orca. And so the fees are 0.0005. So they charge like a pretty low amount. So if you have $10,000 in, they would charge you $5 in fees to open the pool. Obviously, this means you don't want to be like opening and closing pools every like 10 or 20 or 30 minutes, unless you're earning crazy fees that offset that entry. So just know that. But that's the factor in which they take in. That's how they earn money. They take fees off the pool creation. See Duolingo dipping more here. This is kind of the range in which I would want it to come down to before coming back up at some point. If it comes back up at any point before, then that's fine as well. But GoFundMe's doing well. You can see I sold a little bit of ARK for JLP. That's just a little bit of de-risking for me. Obviously, I still have some, and I added it. I added it to this pool to get even more aggressive on the sell up here. So if it goes down, it does, but we'll just hold it longer term. And then we have our Sol USDC pool that we've created as well. Did you already go over your DeFi Tuna position? Did it go down to the bottom of the range? I haven't gone over it because I closed it out. So my position was around 194 or no, 193, I think it was, upwards all the way to like 211. And so once it hit once it got close to 193, I just went ahead and closed it out. And I did that last night, maybe. I can't remember, but I did it last night, so it hasn't been up. HawkFi 8% fee is a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's an 8% fee off of the revenue that you make. So if you don't make any, like a lot of fees, then they don't take it from like your main deposit. It's just from the fees earned. Not buying that 100K GFM for 2331 a couple days ago is haunting me. Yeah. Good morning, guys. It's a little late. Hey, boss. That's all right, man. Welcome in. Also, how long should the Duo Sol pool be open for regarding its movement right now? It just depends. So we're just going to watch it. If it ends up like blowing out below this, we'll just take the loss and close it. But we'll look for it to come down either where it is now or anywhere between here and this like 5.6, which you can see is kind of the last support here, because you can see the next support is all the way down at like 3.7. And so if it just like tanks down to this and breaks through, we'll just close it out. I don't expect that to happen. It could. But I think that it'll end up being either right where it's at or somewhere between here and the blue line. We'll see a bounce back up, which will be great for us. Obviously, the further down it goes, the more fees we earn. And so that's great as long as it comes back up. You can see we were earning 30% earlier. Now we're earning 80%. And again, we have a good bit of room for it to move down. We're earning a lot more on fees. And so we'll just keep holding this. And again, just make a decision based on what the chart gives us. So. Are there any other tokens that are popping up right now? Anything hot? What are people talking about? Seb, crypto news. I was following Relax. GFM has been talked about a lot more. Like it's constantly being talked about. Bro, I hate these like alien conspiracy theories. Get this crap off my timeline. Yeah, I mean, seems like GFM's being talked about a ridiculous amount. So that's a really good sign. Like everything on my feed. Like obviously, like it's affected by the market. And so like if Sol is dipping some, then like, which it is, then like it's going to cause everything to kind of bring it down a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if Sol bounces off this 187, 188-ish range here. It's actually got a little bit of room from that support as well. And then you got one down to 174 here. That's a pretty significant one. Yeah, that kind of 186 and then 174 are two big ones. And honestly, it probably comes all the way down to like 154 or something like that, or even 151 if it breaks down below this. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Sol come down pretty heavy here. That's why I'm kind of preparing it, right? I set up the Sol USDC pool, moving some of the money around a little bit into JLP to help reduce that. Still, betting on Sol long term, but just doing some of these plays on my other wallet as well while we're sitting here. I know this isn't as exciting as like catching a runner that's like doing really well and DLMing it and making crazy fees, but I held Duo. If you're in the Discord, I was holding Duo yesterday, accidentally held it overnight. I completely forgot about it, and honestly, it cooked and made 100% ROI. So right now, there's still a good amount of volume on Duo. It's died down a little bit, but volume is still pretty decent, especially compared to some of the other ones. And so, yeah, we'll keep dealing in that one until we see something else pop up. Yesterday and the day before, Monday and Tuesday, were pretty good for memes. There's stuff like flying pretty good, honestly. There's just so much crap. There's like so many honeypots and just like random stuff, which I just see a ton of right here. Looks like Duo is actually reversing right here, which is pretty good. We'll take that as well. You can see we're now in profit on Duo with just this little bit of an uptick that it took here because the fees we've been earning. And as this pushes up even more, we'll come into even more profit. So this is how the one-sided SOL bid ask works. We're earning really, really good fees now. And you'll see these numbers, like this is the dollar amount here, right? And so as it pushes up, obviously we'll earn more fees, but also the fees that we're earning will be worth more as it pushes up, right? Because we've earned 11K in Duo. Well, 11K of Duo now compared to when it's at 7.7 mil compared to what it'll be at 8 or 9 mil, right, is much different. So as it dips, we earn those fees. As it comes up, those fees are now worth more. And then of course the pool itself, we go from, selling our Solana into the token. And then as it moves back up, we're now getting back into more Solana and less into the token. Also, Ultra LP takes into account the price of SOL, and SOL has dipped since we've been in this. But you can see, look, now we're up 1.69% as it moves up here a little bit more. And so all we need, I mean, like I could close out the pool now and we're in profit, right? But like all we would need for it is for it to come up to like, 8.5 or 9, and we'll be like way in profit. So let me take some questions. I've been doing a lot of stuff here. Do you ever do a 20 bin strategy with multiple positions to stay in range more? Yeah, you're talking about like the anti-sawtooth strategy and stuff like that. That's really popular. I don't. If I'm interested in staying in range, I can just reset up a new pool. Like I could set up, like on this right here, I could set up multiple 20 bins instead of this 80 bin 1%. I could set up a 20 bin here, 20 bin here, and a 20 bin here and do the anti-sawtooth strategy. But it's the same thing, right? It'll look like you're earning more because the percentage number will be higher, because in that 20 bin pool, it's only showing you having a third of like what I have now. It'll only show like a third of it. And so you'll look like you're earning more in each of the 20 bins percentage wise. But if I were to set up like this pool or like a 50 bin, right? And I were to run it with let's say $3,000, or I set up 320 bins all with $1,000. So it's the same capital. And you looked at the actual dollar value of what you're earning, it's going to end up being the same. So I just run one pool. This is the same thing as having 3 pools open. Now it's not going to be the exact same as a 20 bin because the fee structure and the bin steps are a little different, but it's going to be fairly close. And if I wanted to manipulate it to make it the same, I could. It's not worth it to me. So there's something. Oh yeah, let's see. Got a bunch of a few Netherland brothers here on YouTube watching me. Yeah, CLMM is Orca, concentrated liquidity market maker. Akeem, you said, why did you choose the 20 bin over 80 in the money matter in this scenario? Are you talking about for the SOL USDC pool? I chose 20 bin. It's a much higher market cap. So like on Duo, an 80 bin is actually fairly wide, right? Like, I mean, this covers like a huge range. But on something like SOL USDC, if I did an 80 bin, it'd be way too wide of a range. So that's why I do 20 bin. Could you go over GFM, please? Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier. But GFM GoFundMe, it's I'm not sure why their meme feed is not working for me. But it's just like Pump Fund. You can find tokens. People can launch tokens. And then you can also, they have their GFM token, which you can stake. So instead of Pump Fund extracting a bunch of money from the ecosystem, GoFundMe is basically the same thing. You can launch tokens on it just like you would on Pump Fund, but it goes through Meteora instead of Radium. And then also, if you stake the GFM token, they're giving revenue back. So instead of all of it being extracted out of the ecosystem, they give it back to people who stake the GFM. Go to your following. So for your page, algo doesn't cause bias in what is being talked about. What are you saying, Alex? What you talking about? Should we set up a SOL bid ask on GFM? I can't tell you what to do. You could. It's already fairly low, so the likelihood of it going much lower than this is not great, especially considering there's a pretty big support here. Again, if SOL just like tanks, then a lot of things will dip, and so it's possible that it could go lower. But if I'm just reading the chart based on what it's showing me, it looks like at some point it's going to reverse up here. It might trickle down a little lower and then reverse up. So I don't know if a SOL bid ask would be great right here, but you have to make that decision for yourself ultimately. I got the same fees for about 5 minutes on Duo. I'm not sure what you mean. That's a good thing, right? Am I farming stable airdrop? I'm not. I don't even know what that is. What site are you using that shows your profits live? So this is Ultra LP. It's in beta testing, so it's not live to everybody right now. You can go to the site app.ultralp.com and you can sign up for the beta. I'm hoping to get some codes soon. If I do get some codes, then I will be giving them out. But I don't have any more right now. You will earn more because it's a lower bin step and moves through more bins quicker. That's not necessarily the case. So there's something that a lot of people don't think about, right? Like if what you just said, Ben Dixon, is true all the time, it says you said you'll earn more because it's a lower bin step and you move through the bins quicker. Moving through the bins quicker technically will earn you money depending on your fee structure. But also what it does is it ends up selling the tokens that you have much cheaper, right? So if, for instance, we knew that this token was just going to sit like this and move back and forth, then having a low bin step and a low fee structure would be the best, right? Ideally. But you don't know what's going to happen. This could sit around like this, and then it could dip really hard. It could bounce back up very hard. And what ends up happening is the people that have a really low fee and low bin step, you end up selling the tokens or your SOL for very cheap, right? Because people, whenever the price moves very quickly, people are willing to pay more. So what ends up happening is these low bin step and low base fees get hit first. And so, yes, in some instances, if it stays like not very volatile, then you'll earn more in the short term. But in the long term, what could end up happening is that you move out of range, you take higher impermanent loss and higher risk, and you end up selling it for much lower. And so like the 1% is much better, especially on a coin that's moving much faster like this, because if it does end up moving drastically in one direction or the other, I'm not selling it for very low. I'm not selling it for 0.15% or 0.2%. I'm selling it for 1%, and I'll end up making more money than a lower bin step, lower base fee pool. So sometimes like moving faster is not necessarily better. Ultra LP, there's a wait list. Yeah, thank you. Can you still get on the wait list? Yes, you can. So now when SOL goes down in price, you will get more SOL with bid ask. So now when SOL, you will get more SOL with bid ask. Are you talking about like on the SOL Duo pool? When SOL goes down in price, you will get more SOL with bid ask. I think the answer is yes. I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Yeah, Haitian, exactly. Tons of honeypots, scams, and rogues. Have you ever done a video on how you use Vector? I did a short clip once on using Vector, but not a ton. Honestly, it's pretty simple. It's just a trading app. And so I'm not really sure there's a ton that I could give. There's not like a specific strategy outside of just like making trades that you think are good. Mr. Nick, nope. I mean, it's not giving any more fees. I'm not sure the volume's dipped a little bit, so you'll be earning less fees on Duo right now, Nick. But that happens. Look, you can see these bars right here represent the volume, and you can see there's lulls, right? But you also see that there's spikes, and you can see there's a spike here. So we're in a lull right now, right? I'm sure at some point it'll pick back up, but the volume moves up and down. So right now it just may be low. Afternoon all. Easy Killed said, glad to catch another stream. What are we trading today? Duo right now is the only one that seems to be very profitable. ARC seems to be doing fairly decent as well. We have a pool open on ARC. And then we've talked about GFM as well, which we like long term. There hasn't really been any runners or anything like that, unfortunately. Those are obviously the most exciting things to catch. There are a ton of fake coins and honeypots that are all up in here, so just be careful of that. More streams, please. I learn a lot. Hey, I do them every Monday and Wednesday. We're up over 500 people that are watching today. Thank y'all so much for being here. I do stream every Monday and Wednesday around this same time. It's what works for me. Gene, great content, bro. Appreciate it, man. I'm in a 100 bin 2% pool. That might be why. The way that the conversation that I just had, I'm in an 80 bin 1%. And so the conversation we just had was that if you're in a lower bin step and lower fee structure, you'll earn more if the token kind of stays in a small range, which you can see that's literally what it's doing right here, is staying in a tight range. And so in this instance, a low bin step's good. And so I'm probably earning a little more than you because I have a lower base fee in bin step. But as soon as it gets out of this and it moves pretty drastically in one direction or the other, we'll end up making a lot more than a low bin step, low fee structure will, and we'll take less in permanent loss. So if you're looking at doing a wider range over a longer term, then having a higher bin step and higher fee structure can be better. Good time to enter Duo now with like a 50-50 something. I can't tell you if it's a good time to enter now. I can tell you what I see. It does look like it's near the bottom of its range and might be moving back up here. So it could be a good time. Again, it's hard to fully know. This could tank at any time, but based on what the chart is showing me, it looks like it probably has a little more upside than downside here, and is fairly close to just under the middle of where it's been ranging. So up to you whether you want to do that or not, but it does look like it might be in a decent spot. Maybe that's why I'm not earning, because we're not in the same pool. Yeah, Mr. Nick. Also, one thing to consider is that if somebody's coming in and making a big buy, you can see there's 122K locked here. And so any amount of trades that's under 122K, which should be most, this pool can handle it, right? But if you're in the 100 bin 2%, which I have no idea how much value is locked in it, and there's only like 5K locked, and there's trades that come in that exceed that 5K, it'll automatically just skip over your pool and won't even use it. So sometimes it's beneficial, even though like there may be a better bin step or fee structure. Sometimes it's better to be inside of a pool that has more liquidity to make sure that your liquidity actually gets used. Do you still do regular LPing, say Uniswap, Orca, Radium, Elka? I don't use anything on ETH, so I don't use Uniswap. I don't use Radium, and I would use Orca. I use DeFi Tuna, which uses Orca pools. So in that regard, I use it. But right now I'm farming the Meteor airdrop, and so I'm using Meteora over Orca. They're both great, though. What is your capital risk management approach for DLMM? If you look inside of my Discord, I have like a whole portfolio approach. And so essentially what it is I have a certain amount of stables. I have a certain amount of Solana that I'm holding. I have JLP that I'm holding. Different ways of holding larger amounts of money that have less earnings, but also much lower risk. And then on coins like this, I use much smaller sizing. So this is like, 1.5, like maybe 2%. 1.5 to 2% of my overall portfolio. So I use a small amount on things like this that I can earn more on, but are also much more risky. And so normally I don't DLM anything that's like below 10 million market cap. Now I got into this at 10 million market cap, so it now is a little bit lower, and it has high volume, so I'm okay right now. And there's not a ton of other plays, but again, you can see I'm using a small amount compared to how much I normally use. And so let's say your total portfolio is $1,000, then you might only be using like 100 or 200 bucks, maybe less than that, honestly. Yeah, not even. That's way too much. If it's 1,000, then you'd use like $100 on something like this, right? You want to use a very small amount, and then you want to have the other $900 in like Sol USDC, in JLP, maybe in ARC, some things that are a little bit better, lower earnings, but much more stable. Sol looks to be coming back up a little bit, so that's good. Yeah, it looks like Sol is going to come back up here. It might only come back up to 194, but it could come up a little higher. We'll see. Let's look at Ultra LP here. With $300 and no experience, where would you start? I've explained this before, but basically I would take half of that and I would use it in like lower market cap. When I say lower, like 10 to 30 million, you could maybe do something like Duo, try to earn a little bit. The other 150 I would put into something that's a little bit more stable. You could do JLP or something like that. Use the profits from the $150 to roll into the higher stuff, whether that's like an ARC, higher market cap, or Sol USDC, or just staking JLP, something that's a little more stable, but it's going to be lower earnings like JLP here. I would do that with half of it. That way you're not risking all of your money, but you're still using some that's a little bit riskier. And honestly, just you want to start with less money until you learn, right? So you may only want to use $50 to start. You want to learn how to do it. You don't want to start on super high volatile stuff because you can get burnt. Once you kind of have a better understanding, watch a lot of videos, have personal experience, then you can raise up how much money you have. But basically, you want to have a safer pool, and then you want to have riskier amount. I have it at 3 tiers. Once you get to like $1,000 or a few $1,000s, you can have 3 tiers. I'd say if you're under that, you probably just want to have 2 tiers. You have a lower risk, higher amount that you're using that everything is rolling into, all your profits, and you're keeping that lower amount. So you'll just keep using $150 over and over as you build up. So you go from 300 to 350 to 400, right? And as you're building up, you just keep that in like stable, safer stuff. And you use your lower amount to make money and roll it into the safer stuff. Then once you hit that next bracket, which is like 1,000, then you can up it a little bit. Maybe instead of that 150, maybe 200 or 250 that you're doing that with. And you just keep doing that and build up as you go. The one you're in has 352K. Well, then it should be doing pretty good, Mr. Nick. I'm surprised. Maybe it's just a higher bin step. I mean, mine's showing higher percentage because I've been in it a while, but you can see that it's slowly dipping. So it's averaging out. And so, well, actually volume just picked up. So maybe that's not the case now. Yeah, you can see here. So we've been doing this Sol bid ask on Duo. It's now moving up nicely. And you can see now we're at 3.6% earned, right? And so we've been sitting in it for an hour and 31 minutes. And so we set it up as a one-sided Sol bid ask. It moved all the way down to kind of the middle of our range here. And now it's starting to move back up. We've collected a lot in fees. And if it continues to move up aggressively here, which it looks like it might, it's got a good amount of volume here. Then at some point we'll take our profits, even if it's only like 5 or 10%, like, hey, that's okay. We're going to let it move up as much as it wants to. And then at some point, it's either going to move out of my range here, or if it looks like it moves up close to the end of my range and is kind of stalling out, maybe coming back down, then we will just close it out where it's at. So when you enter one-sided pool, why do you choose bid ask versus spot? Spot would give you more fees. Yeah, it's in the current market we're in. I like bid ask better. It's less risky. In this case, if I would have done spot, I'd be earning much more in fees, probably like almost twice as much. And I would be doing really well, right? But with Duo, honestly, this is a meme coin that's like, I'm not sure is going to have a lot of long-term, like it's not going to be around long-term, right? And so at some point, this thing is going to end up coming down much lower. Could it happen now? Yes. Could it be a day or two or weeks from now? Yes. I don't know exactly. But because I consider this a high risk token, then I set it up in a Sol one-sided bid ask. I would rather have less fees, but also reduce my downside in the current market we're in. And so the goal is to not stay in this for like a day or longer. I'm going to get out of this within the next, could be the next few minutes, or it could be in the next 30 minutes or so, or hour. But basically, I'm just looking to try to earn as much as I can on this while reducing my risk as best as possible. And I feel like the Sol one-sided bid ask is the best way to do that right now. But yes, spot could be better with fees. Do you ever try to set up a DLMM on new hyped coins that are legit products like Pingu when it launched? Yeah, absolutely. I take advantage of that. When Trump launched, when Melania launched, when Me dropped, when Pingu dropped, all of those, I was DLMing those. I actually DLM'd a lot of those live. You could have watched them. You can go back and look at my streams where I did that. I see you look at Sol a lot, but do you watch the BTC chart at all? Yeah, sometimes I do. They follow like fairly similar patterns, and so I'll watch BTC as well. But Sol is the chain I'm on, so that's the one that's the most important to know. Are you bullish on Duo overall? A lot of companies tweeted about the original Duo tweet. Not overall. I'm not bullish on Duo long term. No. I think it's that I didn't get in when it was high like you did. Maybe so, Mr. Nick. Yeah, like if you get into it and it's a one-sided Sol bid ask and you don't get in as high, then you're going to be using less of your fees. So like I'll earn less fees as this moves up, right? Like I will. I'll earn less fees. The further down, the more liquidity we're using, the more fees that we'll earn. And that's why I did the 80 bin 1%. You'll see me use like 100 or 125 bin on a lot of tokens. But on this one, I kind of measured out how far I thought it could dip, again, just to try to reduce my risk. And so that's why I went with the 80 bin. There wasn't really any other good pools except for a 20 bin. And to me, that was too tight. In this instance, it might have worked out well, but I thought it was a little too tight. So again, a wider range, a decent fee structure like 1%, Sol bid ask over spot. These are all ways for me to reduce risk. Also, as Sol moves up here, it's already back to 194. GFM is ripping up, ARC's ripping up. I think that's why Duo saw some movement up here as well. Trying to decide if I think it's going to slow down here. I could just take my profits on this. Let me see where we're at. Let Ultra LP refresh here. Or I'll just manually refresh it. There you go. I'm at 5.82%. You can see I'm in profit on my Sol USDC and my ARC pool. 5.82% is pretty good. I'm not sure. I'm kind of watching it to see how much higher it's going to go here. It's about to test off of this here, which is pretty significant. If it breaks through here, I think it would make sense to just hold it a little bit longer. It's hitting pretty high on the MACD and on the RSI. You can see here on the RSI, like once it gets above the 70 here, it could go a little higher up to like 80, or here it almost went up to like 88. But for the most part, like the 70 to 80 range is kind of where it's been topping out at. And so I'd be interested to see it. It'd be surprising to me if it topped out much higher than this, maybe coming up here to 9.6 mil before bouncing back down. So we're just watching it. We want to capitalize. Like if I refresh this again, you'll see this is now going to be higher. Yeah, 241, because as the price of Duo moves up, we just want to close out at a good time. We're probably getting pretty close. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end of our range here as it moves back up. So it might just be a good time to close it out and take the 6 or 7% profit or 8%, whatever it is. Good time right there. 9.4 mil, sell right there, and bam. This is why we use good morning, good night, because I was able to instantly sell this, right? And so like could go up higher here, but in instances where I want to get out whenever it is topping like this, or I think it is, it might come up just a little higher to 9.6, or it could rip through the roof. Honestly, I have no idea. At this point, I would imagine that it's going to test off of this one though. It would be abnormal outside of what it's done in the past if it ripped past this support, this resistance here, but it could. Again, we can only read the chart and do what we think is best. But you can see we earned 6.32% off of that. Obviously, we could have earned more, but we would have, even with this coming up higher here, we were already at the end of our range. So it wouldn't have moved up much more. Like there wasn't much more room for us to make anyway. And sometimes we make 6%. 6% is great. Sometimes we make 100%, right? 100% is great. This is crazy that this shot back up like this. I think that I didn't. Do you think it's worth it to accumulate fees on one wallet or use several to get better position in the airdrop? It's definitely good to have like one main wallet that you build up, but I think it's good as well to have a few other wallets to be able to get some airdrop on, because there will be different levels and tiers to it for sure. It just kind of depends on how much volume you're doing. If you're only doing if you only have 500 or $1,000 and you're not doing a crazy amount of volume, I would maybe only have like 2 wallets, maybe 3, and do most of it on one and then do like a little bit on the other 2. I currently have like 3 wallets and I actually do a ton of volume. I should probably have more, but that's what I currently do. Thoughts on overnight LP for GFM? Currently have a bid ask around 82 mil. I mean, GFM isn't necessarily like an amazing DLMM. It does just enough volume for me to say that you could DLMM it. And honestly, it's pretty hyped right now. So you have a bid ask around 82 mil. You set up a one-sided Sol bid ask at 82 mil. That was a great spot to do it at. Zonrox, can you confirm for me that you set it up around 82 mil and it's a Sol one-sided bid ask? Can I copy what you just did? Harsha, you can, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't try to copy it now. I mean, this could dip here. You could set up a Sol one-sided bid ask. You can see it does look like it's resisting here. Like I said, you could look at previous data, like on the RSI here, and see where it went up to. You can also use the MACD and other resistance points to kind of determine whether you think that it's going to be topping out soon. Like, again, this could explode way up, but it's going to be outside the norm if it does that. It's more likely that it's testing here and going to come back down. Now, it could only come back down a little bit and then maybe move back up. But yeah, I like to close out near the top of my pools. Also, Sol is ripping back up, and so ARK is also doing that, which is really, really good. This just looks so unnatural. Like, seeing this giant red candle in this, like, it just doesn't look right. Like, this could be the same person, honestly. The person that sold here could be the same person that's buying here. Not saying that's the case, but it just seems a little strange. Thank you for the answer, token guy. Yep. Yeah, one-sided. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you got in a great spot. Zonrox, what percent are you earning on the 24-hour? Yeah, I mean, this is a great spot to set up a one-sided Sol bid ask because it came all the way down, came back up. It looks like it might come down again here, depending on what Sol does. Also, what is your bend step that you have? Like, what kind of range do you have set up? I would say if you have a range that allows it to come all the way down to like 57 or 58. I'm not saying that it will do this, but this is where I would, if I'm trying to reduce my risk, I would have a bid ask that could come all the way down to 56 mil here from the 82, right? So, I mean, we're looking at about a 32% drop. When will Sol increase in value again? Hey, that's a great question. It's increasing in value right now, but as far as like exactly when it's going to go like way higher, I have no idea. I'm not a genie, so I can't predict that. I can just look at the chart and kind of get an idea. But many, many times with manipulation and other things, even when we look at the charts, we have no idea what's going to happen. AYD Max, hey brother from Uzbekistan. Hey, thanks, man. Glad you're here. Welcome. I have 100 bin step. Oh, 100 bin steps, plenty, dude, on GFM. You could hold that longer if you want. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're doing really well, but I'm not going to say you should hold it overnight. I'm just saying you're in a good position here for it to do fairly well. What percent of slippage do you use on your pools while setting them? On my actual pool here, oops. You can see I have 5%. A lot of times I'll end up doing less than this, though. I'll end up doing like, I should probably have it on like 1 to 2%. We're going to set it to 1.5. I think I had it like that because I was trying to get in some pools that were a little harder. Yeah, on my other wallet, I have 2% set. But if you're like getting into pools that are moving a little faster, like it's much harder to get in and out of those. So you might want to set that up. Dang, we're earning 1.7% on the 24-hour on Sol USDC. Obviously, Sol's moving up pretty aggressive here. If it continues to move up, pretty aggressive here, then I might end up just closing out of this Sol USDC pool because I don't want to sell all of my Sol for USDC. So we'll continue to watch it. I'll let it come up probably to like 196, 197. And if it looks like it's going to continue to push up more than that, like pretty aggressive, and it's not going to reverse back down at some point, I might actually let it come all the way up to this support here, 198. If it breaks through this and it doesn't bounce back down, then I'll readjust my pool. Zonrock said, yeah, that's my problem a while ago. I don't know what bin step to use, but you explained when you use like 20 bin step or 80, I got the idea. I might close the position later. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not bad, Zonrox, because like there's tokens that once they hit all-time highs or just hit like really high numbers, period, like they'll take like 40 or 50% drawbacks. Like it could come all the way down to like 45 mil here, in that case, the 100 bin step is going to be beneficial. Like if I were to set this up right now, I'd be looking at two zones, which is this 57 mil and this 44 mil, right? And so if we're looking at that, we're looking at like a 30% drawback and we're looking at like a 50% drawback or maybe 45%, right? And so then if I go to the pools and I'm looking at setting up a one-sided Sol bid ask, I mean, you can see most of the liquidity and the money being made, you can see is in these higher bin steps here. And then you have like in this 80 bin 5 and this 80 bin 0.2. Those all suck. Like this 80 bin 1% looks pretty good, but there's like $16 in it and there's no volume. But the 100 bin you're in probably isn't bad. I might have gone with an 80 bin, but honestly, there's not any real good 80 bin setups. Like the 5% fee structure is way too high. There's not enough volume on GFM to be using a 5% fee structure, right? And so like if you're setting up like a one-sided bid ask, this would draw down 41%. Again, this hits the, where am I at? GFM. This hits this level nicely at 57 and allows it to come all the way down to almost to this level here, right? Like at 43, 44 mil. 44 mil divided by, what's it at, 75? Yeah, so that's a 41.5% drawback. And look, 41.8%. So I would have done an 80 bin where we're at now, but you made yours a little bit higher at 82 mil. So the 100 bin's probably good. It probably hits the zones that I'd be looking for anyway. I don't think it's going to come down this low, so I still probably would have done the 80 bin. But honestly, just keep the 100 bin open. I think that's probably fine. Yeah, Duo came up a little bit higher. It would have moved out of our range anyway, so we could have made a little bit more money. No one's ever perfect at timing the top, but this is pretty good to me. You know, like considering where we wrote it from, we sold it here after we got in, basically almost at the same spot and made good money on it. I think this was a great spot. You can now see it's drawing back. We could set up another one-sided Sol bid ask here if we wanted to. This could be a good spot because it's about to do a reversal here, and you could set up a one-sided Sol bid ask. I'm not going to because I'm going to be getting off soon and going to lunch, and I don't want to sit on this while I'm at lunch. But this could be something that could be good for you. Are you still using Sol Decoder? I'm not actively using Sol Decoder right now. I still think it's a great product, and I will be using it soon. It's just the state of the market that it's in right now. I want to be able to manually control everything I have and not let it go auto right now. I think as we see volume and we start to see some stuff pick back up over the next few weeks, that I will start using it again. Where am I from? I'm from the United States in the South. Zonrox, thanks for the insight. I'm learning a lot from you. Hey, absolutely, man. Glad to help. Just seeing a little bit of a stall out here at 195. I'd be really surprised if it came all the way back up to 198. I think we'll end up seeing it dip back down a little bit at some point here. It might slowly kind of come down and back up to 198. I just don't see it breaking above that right now. It could, but it would surprise me if it did. Yeah, I like the 80 bin 1% on Duo if you're doing a one-sided sol right now. Just know that you have a lower range. But I mean, if it comes down to 5.4 mil, like if you're setting it up right here, you do an 80%. And if it ever breaks below this like 5.5, 5.6 range right here, you just close it out and take the loss. But I would expect it to bounce off of one of these supports before then. Are people racist in the South like the movies depict? That is a very deep question. The reason why movies depict that, depending on the movie you're watching, is because most of the people who were racist specifically against Black people were from the South, because the South fought to keep slavery. Most of slavery happened in the South. A lot of the plantations and things like that happened down here. And so that's why you see a lot of that in movies. That was in the past. I would say now that if you're specifically talking about racism against Black people, you will find more of it in the South of the United States than you will in the North. But I think that racism exists on a lot of different levels. There's people that are racist against white people. There's people that are racist against specifically Jews. Some people that are racist against people in the Middle East. People that are racist against Asian people, Indian people, Mexican, South American, Central American people. There's people that are racist against certain groups of people. Am I pro-slavery? No, definitely not. But yeah, I think that there's racism all over. I think the idea that racism only exists for Black people is just not true. But I do think that it shouldn't be undermined, the fact that like racism still exists. It definitely does still exist. I just think it takes on a different image than we've seen in the past. So that's my answer without getting, like overly political or anything like that. But I try to stay fairly neutral when it comes to all that. We like to stick to business and making people money. Because the good thing about money is that no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, then you can make money. And so for me, I want to help all people of all different colors and ethnicities from all over the world to be able to provide. And so I think that's important. Zonrox, got to go see you on the next stream. Thanks. Hey, thanks, man. See you later. Is there any place or social group of people that you think are interesting or exotic in regards to their culture and history? Yeah, I mean, all over the world, right? I mean, America has probably the least exotic history and culture. We are literally just a melting pot of a bunch of different cultures, which I think is really cool in its own right. But I've traveled all over the world. So, I mean, like I've been to India, I've been to Turkey, I've been to South America. There's a lot of places that I've been to. I haven't been to Africa yet, and I haven't been to like Australia or anything. I think that, Australia, New Zealand, those have some cool culture. I also think there's certain areas in Europe that have really, really cool culture. My direct lineage of ethnicity actually comes from like the Nordic countries and like Vikings and stuff like that. I think they have a really, really cool culture. I think that, again, like African culture, there's like some really, really cool stuff there. I believe that civilization started in North Africa. So obviously there's a ton of history there. In India, I've been to Bengaluru. I flew through Dubai and then went down to Bengaluru. USA is just a baby, not a lot of history at all. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do have some cool history, like in the Northeast and stuff around Virginia and other areas like that, Delaware, Boston. There's some cool history there. It's just not quite. His question was about like exotic, right? And so in that regard, I think there's just there's a lot more around the world. Yeah, so if you set up a sole one-sided bid ask here on Duo, which I did not do, you'd be doing pretty good here, right? It looks like it's come down a little bit. It might come back up some before coming back down, but I think this was a good spot. Sometimes you'll set up a one-sided sole bid ask and you'll just earn like a little bit because like it's a bid ask, right? You'll just earn a little bit. It'll come back up and it's like, dang, I didn't earn that much. But hey, that's okay because you reduced your risk, right? Like just because you don't make a ton. I made like 6.5% on like 3,500, which I know is like still good. It's like 200 something dollars. I'm not like saying it's bad, but that's a low number compared to some of the other earnings that we get, right? And so like, but I'm okay with that. Like, like I said, I earned like 100% ROI last night on the same similar pool. We take the wins, we take what we can, and if you're not losing, and even if you're doing small wins, then that's a good thing. I think a good place to start for a lot of people is using like Sol one-sided bid asks. I think it's a great place to start. Digi said he's dropping a CA. Have notifications on. I would love to get 6% on all of my trades. Right, exactly. I'm from India. Love your content. Hey, thanks, man. Small wins are the best. I agree. When do you usually do overnight pulls, if ever? I do it on like things like ARK that I believe in long term that have shown over time that even whenever they dip, they have a lot of good fight back. I feel pretty confident in these. But other than that, right now in the market we're in, I'm not really overnighting anything else. When do you usually overnight? Small wins are the best. I agree. Crypto Sapien, any religions you find philosophically fascinating? I mean, I'm a Christian myself. I've studied a lot of religions. It depends on what you mean by like fascinating. Like, I mean, I'm into apologetics again. That's not what I'm trying to do here. So like, I could have an argument about pretty much any religion, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, or Islam, other Christian denominations, LDS or Mormon, atheism, all of it. So I used to be a pretty hardcore atheist and now I'm a Christian. So I've been a Christian for 10 years. I actually teach on Christianity. So, but there's a lot that I would say are fascinating. I mean, like when I was in India, like Hindu was crazy. I mean, there's literally like millions of gods. Obviously there's like some main ones, but there's tons of them. There also are like monotheistic Hindus, I know, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that religion's got a lot of fascinating things as far as the history and culture. If you use like fascinating or interesting as a word, but I don't hold it as truth personally. I think it's good to be able to have those conversations, though. I'm in a spot on Duo, made money on fees going up now. I'm confused as to why I'm losing money going down, but still in upper range. Depends what you mean by losing money, or whenever you say going down. If you're in your upper range, you shouldn't have lost money. It's just that the value of what you have is going down because the price is going down. But you should still be up as far as if you're still in your upper range. What is the price action you look for a one-sided Sol bid ask strategy? This right here. Normally, whenever you see a pretty large move up, whether it's a straight move up like this or even over here where it moves up and dips and then comes up again, basically you're looking for where is there a previous resistance. And you can see this is a pretty strong resistance here. We can see in the past where it hit this area multiple times. And you can see where it hit multiple times here as well. And so basically I'm looking for that. So that's why I told people, again, I'm going to be getting off shortly. So I didn't want to set up this pool, but this was a great place to do it. We watched it move up pretty aggressively here. It bounced off of a previous resistance, and then it's starting to move down. And so as soon as you see that, you could set up a sold one-sided bid ask. Now, for some reason, if it comes back up, that's fine. You're not really losing anything. You get all your soul back, and you may have collected a few bucks in fees. But in this instance, it looks really great because we can see it looks like it's going to be moving down further. It could bounce off of this and come back up. Again, I think over the long haul, we'll see this move down somewhere in between these lines here, maybe even lower, but probably here. And so if you're in a one-sided sold bid ask, you'll be making fees the whole way. You'll just look for it to bounce back up at some point, and then you'll want to close out near the top of that bounce. For instance, here, it came and hit off of here, came all the way down, and then made a bounce to here. You could sell here. I did it. You could see this little sell earlier. I set one up, like, I forget where it was, somewhere around here, and it did a lot of different stuff. And then it came down, and once it started to move back up, I could have waited for it to move up higher. But when it moved up here, I was actually in 100% ROI, so I just sold it right there. I wasn't sure how much higher it would come up. If you set up a one-sided sold bid ask, though, you're doing pretty good right here. Josio, Token Guy, you're my new favorite streamer. Interested in hearing more about religious stuff if you have another channel. I don't, because it takes a lot of time. I've thought about doing a channel like that before, but as of right now, I don't. I'm happy to chat with you anytime. You can come in my Discord, hit me up in DMs on Twitter, anything like that. Egyptology is insane once you start looking at that stuff. Yeah, I've looked into a lot of stuff around Egypt. I mean, I think our creation as a whole started around that area. So, wow, I've never heard of an atheist returning back to religion. How did that happen? All I can say is that I'm a Christian, so I believe in the Holy Spirit. I believe in the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And basically, I was an atheist. I grew up Catholic when I was really, really young. And then I was an atheist for most of my life after my parents got divorced when I was 12. And then when I was 22, I ended up going to a church with a buddy, and don't remember really what they talked about. I just know I experienced something that was like spiritual, and it was like tangible. Like I could feel it for the first time. And I was like pretty hardcore atheist. So like I was skeptical about a lot of things. But when you feel something that's like really tangible and real, like spiritually, it does something to like kind of your logical mind. And then I ended up that intrigues my interest. So I ended up going back another time. And I heard the gospel for the first time. It was shared. And as soon as there was like something inside of me that started to like burn or well up. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I was experiencing what I know now is the Holy Spirit. At the time, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it was something so powerful and tangible outside of what my mind could imagine that I needed to look into it more. And so whenever I heard the gospel, it was like, there's something in me that was like, this has to be true. And so I decided to give my life to Jesus and start following it. And then from there, obviously there was a lot of confirmation. There was a lot of things that had to happen for me to be able to confirm that it was true, that matched the spiritual side of things, that matched with my logical thoughts as well. And it did. And so over time, over testing, not only did I become a very strong believer, but I became a very strong advocate to be able to share that as well. So Let's Wire, if you're just experimenting to learn more, is it reasonable to try bid ask or curve or spot setups with like $100 if you're not afraid to lose that? Like, would you be able to tell results with that amount? Yeah, Hop, $100 is a great price to do. I would definitely not do curve. I would do bid ask or spot. Curve's a little too aggressive. Even though you're not afraid to lose the $100, you should be acting as if you are like you should treat your test as if you're doing it like that's what you would be doing, right? And so I would say if you can use that $100, I think it'd be a great idea. And I would set up like bid ask and spot strategies to be able to learn. Make sure you do a lot of research, a lot of videos, watching live streams like this. I also have like on my Twitter, I have a pinned, where's it at? Profile. I have a pinned guide right here, Ultimate DLMM guide. You can check this out. There's like multiple videos here. They're not very long. They're like 5 or 8 minutes each, maybe. There's like 4 of them. 9 minutes, 8.5, 6.5, 5. Yeah. So just go through those. That'll help out a lot, and watch other videos as well. There's a lot of great places that you can learn. So just make sure you do that as well. Can you give a shout out to my friend Thrishank? Thrishank, what's up, man? Token Guy here. Glad you're watching. Thank you. India, I think, is the oldest when it comes to religion. They have some crazy stuff. Yeah, I mean, people would argue that Egyptian history is like one of the oldest, but India does have some very old stuff as well. Hey, Josio, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your experiences, token guy. Love hearing it all. Hey, absolutely, crypto. If people ask me about it, I love being able to talk about it and share it. So appreciate y'all asking. I think some people have bad experiences with whether it's church or religion or spiritual things, and hopefully people feel comfortable with these type of conversations. I know that it's not for everybody, and it's also not something that I talk about all the time. So, but I think people can find healing in it as well. So I think people should be able to have conversations about differing views, whether it's political, philosophical, religious, anything like that. I think it's good to learn and hear other sides, even if I don't necessarily believe that something else is true that someone's saying. I believe in the truth that I have, being the truth, but I do think that it doesn't mean that it's not good to have conversations. So, Hector, I made it. Hello, TG. Hey, glad you're here. Hop said you've been watching all my stuff. Just want to do more homework to apply it. Hey, no problem, man. That's what this live stream is for, so that people can come on, they can check out, see what I'm doing live, and then also ask questions for me to answer. Again, if you have a sole one-sided bid ask, you're probably doing really well right now. The ideal scenario for sole one-sided bid ask is that it moves down, but in moving down, it has small ups as well, and it will look like this, right? You don't want to see it like tank down. Of course, that could be fine as well, if as long as it comes back up. But it's good to watch it do like this down and then kind of move back up in the same way. That way you're earning more fees along the way. So if you got into that, hey, that's great. I'm probably getting off in like 4 minutes to be able to go to lunch. Duo dips nicely. Yeah, it is. Chad running cut. God is good. I'm not, but I did walk on water this morning. Ice fish. Hey, that's fun. Ice fishing. I've never done that before. So my P&L card says I'm down $75 and I'm not. What P&L card are you looking at? Are you using Ultra LP or are you using something else? Crypto, Ecclesi? I was skeptical at first, but this is a very productive conversation regarding religion. Hey, thanks, man. Is it too late to get into sole one-sided bid ask? On Duolingo, you could still get into it here if you think it's going to come down. You just probably would do a smaller range. It won't be as lucrative here as it would have been up here. It also gives you less room for error. But you could set one up here if you think that it's going to come down. You have to make that decision for yourself. Is it too late? I've experienced that the spiritual path does help you belong and give meaning to all the intangibles and uncertainties. Hey, Rudra, glad to hear it, man. Keep an eye on Locked. Appreciate the tips. Hit the like, guys. Locked. Is this the one you're talking about, Haitian Buffet? It's a 2.7 mil. It's got a very high top 10, which could be fine depending on what's going on with it, but it could also be heavily bundled. The chart looks okay. It's not like terribly or inorganic. It doesn't have any followers. Nobody I know that's following it. Locked in. Looks like this is just a play off of a token that already exists. I probably don't like this token Locked in. Haitian Buffet, I'd be careful with it. It could be okay. There's something about it that seems a little off for it to be where it's at without any attention on X. Hop got to hit it, but this is awesome, and I'll be on consistently about the best stream I've ever seen in crypto, and I've been around a while. Hop, thanks so much. I appreciate that. We're up to 670 people that are watching between YouTube and X. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. The support helps me a lot. My goal is to be monetized. It's honestly, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. It takes a lot. But ultimately, I just like sharing and helping with what I'm doing while I'm doing it anyway. I do it twice a week, and I'm looking to put out more videos and things like that as well, as doing spaces and some other things. So I appreciate y'all being here. So I'll need to close the dual pool in some minutes. In what range should I close so I don't lose any? Mr. Nick, if you have to close it for some reason, you want to wait for it to come up here. It looks like it's slowing here. It could come down further, but it looks like it might be bouncing up here. And so basically you'll just look for it to come up and then have it come up as high as it can before it starts to look like it might be stalling out and moving back down. And you'll want to close out there. which you should be in profit at this point if that's the case. Not a ton of profit. It may only be like 1%, but that would be the case. You can see on the MACD, it's slowing. On the RSI, it looks like it's come down to a low number. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to come up like way up. It's probably only going to come up a little bit and then maybe come back down. It could rip back up, but it's close to this center zone. I imagine it's only going to come up a little bit. So if you had to close it out now, you could. You'd probably be close to break even, maybe at a slight loss. I'm not too sure because I can't see your pool. But yeah, you'd want to hold it longer if you could for it to come back up. It may not do that. It may, but that's where you would try to close it out. Jesse Pohl, thanks for the wisdom, TG, about faith and the one-sided bid ask. Hey, no problem, man. Believing in something is better than believing in nothing. Poppy, hey, I agree, man. Well, we all believe in something, whether we say we do or not. I'm sitting in this chair right now. I'm believing that it's going to hold me up. I use my past experiences. I can't prove that this is going to hold me up, but I do use evidence and past experiences to determine that I think that it would hold me up, right? Whenever we do everything every single day, when we drive in a car or we walk down the street, we're believing in something, we're trusting in something. And so we all do that, whether we realize it or not. And so, yeah, I think it's a cool theological, philosophical idea to think about. Our success is credit to the Lord. We blessed. Hey, Poppy, love it, man. Are you a blockchain developer by profession? I am not a developer. I do not code. I mean, I've done a little bit of coding. I understand like coding and logic a little bit, but I don't code. Like, I'm not a developer. I have a sales marketing background, and then I've been doing DeFi on Solana for like 2.5 years now. John and Crypto Seed. Hey, Token Guy, good day. When DLMing, how do you decide which bin step? I got my soul liquidated into the Stool Presidente. Luckily, only lost $12. It happened very quick in a 20 bin step. Yeah, 20 bin step is really, really small. Basically, you just need to determine how long you're wanting to hold something. Like, for instance, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the range of it at 344 all the way down to 261. You can just do that division really quick. You can do 261 divided by 344. And you can see that's roughly a 24% drawdown. And so in this instance, if I'm wanting to hold it maybe for like a day, I probably want to have at least a 25% range, which a 20 bin step would not give you that. You'd maybe want to be in a 50 bin step. And if you're looking to hold it longer, you can see there's times where it came down even lower here and times where it was also much higher. And so if you're really trying to cover this full spectrum, maybe you'd be in an 80 or 100 bin to cover that. But if you're looking to stay in it just short term on something like this, you would be in a 50 bin. A 20 bin would be too small. And so that's how you would determine it. The bin steps are just in relation to the percentage changed. So just to give you all an example, 100 bin steps, it's 100 bin steps, right? Here, look, I'll show you. All right, so this is bin step 20, right? And so if you look at this, it has a specific range based on the 20 bin step, a default range. The max number of bins that a DLM pool can have is 69 bins, not bin steps, bins. And so bin step, if you think of taking a step from one bin to the next, right? If you imagine the bins being like little like stepping stones, right? Basically means that it has to move a 20th of, I can't remember the word, but this is 0.2% roughly. Right? So that means to move from one bin to the other, there's only 69 bins. So to move from one bin to the other, it's got to move 0.2%. 100 bins is roughly 1%. And so if you're in a 100 bin step, 69 bins, it's going to roughly move about 70%. If you're in a 0.2% at 69 bins, it's roughly going to move 13.8%. Which, if you look at this, if I were to set up this pool, and I autofill here, oops, Meteora strike alert. It stopped working. I'm teaching too much. It didn't want me to. So it was 13.8% whenever I multiplied the 0.2%, which is the bin step. Don't worry about the fee, the bin step. And look, 7.03, 6.57, right? So that's roughly your 13 or your 12 point. This is like 12.6%, right? Pretty close. It's not exact, but very, very close instead of the 12.8% or whatever. But yeah, that's roughly what it is, 13%. is going to be the range between them, because that's what the 20 bin step means, 0.2%, and you can only have a max of 69 bins. So if you lower the bin step, you're going to lower the range, right? If I lower the bin step by 1, you'll see it goes down how much? 0.2%. It goes from 7.03 to 6.82. It's moving roughly 0.2% down if I reduce the bin. So each bin is 0.2%. So that's how you measure that. And so you can determine your range. All you do is you look at the token, you look at what it's done in the past hours, days, or weeks, depending on how long you're wanting to hold it. And then you just set your range in the range that it's been in the last hours, days, or weeks, by looking at the supports and resistances as well. That's very important. So look, if you're, Matt, was it you earlier? Or no, Mr. Nick, you were talking about when to get out. Look, this is moving up here. You're probably close to the end of your range. As soon as you are, just close it out. At this point, you've made a profit. If you set up a sold one-sided bid ask, it came down, you collected, and then it came back up here. At some point, this will move up again and then move back down, and you could set up another one-sided sold bid ask. Hey, TG, I have around 100K, and I don't want to put it in the bank, which offers around 6 to 7% per year. What do you recommend? How can I manage it? And how much risk would you allocate to high-risk coins? Hey, AYD Max, great question. You can just send it all to me. I'll give you my Sol address. No, I'm kidding. It depends on what your goals are, man. Anybody that has 100K, just hit me up on Discord. Come join my Discord. Message me. I'd be happy to go through with you and like give you like an example of how you could set up your portfolio. But just a brief thing is that you can earn like on USDC, a stable coin, you can earn 15% right here by lending it to DeFi Tuna. Now it's maxed out right now, so you can't actually do it right now. But if they increase the limit, you'll be able to. You could also set it up with JLP, and JLP is maxed out right now as well. But whenever it has room, again, these will have more room at some point. You can get into those. This earns 6.32%, but JLP itself is earning 44%. So you can earn 50 to 55% APY by holding JLP, which is obviously way better than traditional finance. You could also set up a Sol USDC pool. I could show you how to do that. And you can earn even more. You can earn over 100% APY on your money that way also, but we could chat about it. Does religion ask one to believe or to know? Both, Crypto Sapien. It asks us to know some things and to believe in the rest. But it's not blind faith. Again, I explained how we believe in things every single day. Is it blind faith that I trust this? No, there is evidence to make me believe that there is a God. There's evidence that makes me believe that everything was created by an intelligent mind and intelligent design that's logical. There's evidence to that. There's not proof. I cannot 100% without a doubt prove it, but neither can we prove anything in life. And so we use evidence. We use what we know that then helps us to make an educated choice as to what we want to believe. Great Ben explanation. Hey, thanks, Dre. It's just crypt. I made 60 cents on one Sol. Let's go. I get bins, and that was great. So in the case of Duo, if it's moving up, you want to set up a one-sided Duo bid ask. You could if you think it's going to keep going up, which it could be doing right here pretty well. Yeah, I mean, it's launching right now, but like it would probably be a bad time to buy and set up a one-sided Sol bid ask now. When it started to bounce here, you could have done it. Like you could have set up a one-sided Sol bid ask, and then once it looked like it was going to bounce, you could have closed that pool and used the Duo that you've collected or buy some more and then set up a one-sided Sol bid ask on the way up. It's hard to know what it's going to do exactly, but this is a pretty significant level here. There is a little bit of a support here as well. If it breaks above this right here, then there's a good sign that it's going to end up going up higher. But we'll see if it resists off this and comes down or goes up higher. Where do you park your funds that you aren't DLMing? I put them right here in DeFi Tuna, Sol and JLP. How would you start with 200 USD? Super Rosebite, just go back like maybe 15 to 30 minutes. I explained this to someone who asked how they would do it with 300 USD. Unfortunately, I do need to hop off shortly, so I'm not going to have time to go through all that again. But I do have a ton of different videos you can watch. Feel free to come into our Discord and ask questions there. We can do that as well. So I'm going to hop off. Thank y'all so much for coming out and supporting me. Hopefully y'all learned something. We've had some good conversations. We talked a little philosophical stuff today, a little theological as well with some religion, which I don't always get to do, but I appreciate y'all asking me those questions. Happy to have more conversations about that. But ultimately the goal is to show y'all how I make money, how you can make money using DLMMs. Risk management is really important. Having a good portfolio set up, looking at some of the longer term stuff as well with like Sol and what it's doing as well. All of that is very, very important to having long-term success. And of course, being consistent is also super, super important. And so just show up each and every single day. Some days you're going to win, some you're going to lose. Be patient. Don't rush into things. Be patient. Try to learn as much as you can. And over time, you should be able to start earning some money. So yeah, again, thank y'all so much for being here. I am going to hop off now. Y'all have a great day.